So we've taken some notes or reflected on some culture vocabulary, and now we're going to move into the identity section of the unit. And we'll start with nationality. So if you're taking notes, I would start like an even new section, like maybe do some dotted line kind of deal. Pause if you need time, because I'm going to move on. So just like we talked about at the start of class, our identity isn't made up of just one component, but instead we're an intersectionality of a multitude of different identities and different components. And we're going to focus on nationality in a bit, but before, I want to remind us all of internal diversity. So before we go over the exact definition of internal diversity, let's break down the two words that make up the term. Internal, meaning inside, and diverse, meaning different or various. So on the inside, there's a lot of differences and variance. So when we're looking at that in a cultural sense, that means there's many subcultures within one culture. And even within that little subculture, there's many different expressions and beliefs. And it doesn't matter what scale you look at. You could look at it at a global scale, where you see different cultures, like Western culture highlighted in blue. When we look at it at a national scale, we can see different regional dialects, like what do you call a water fountain or a drinking fountain? We see it in neighborhoods where each family raises their kids a little bit different, maybe to a different religion. And even within one family, we have a multitude of different personalities with different beliefs and behavior. The dad might be, a total joker. The mom might be full of discipline. One child might be a really devout person who's super religious, and the other might be a little bit more atheistic or secular. When we're studying cultures and we're studying different identity groups, we can't act like they're homogenous. We can't act like they're all the same. And we see diversity by looking at different expressions of American culture. Whether it's emo or Duck Dynasty or literally anything in between, these are all American. So when you say all Americans like this or all Americans do that, there's always going to be difference. There's always going to be internal diversity. Just a few more neat maps. Feel free to pause and stare at these as long as you want. But this one's what people call a crayon, or a crayon, or a crayon, or a crown. People call it a crown? Or how about pajamas versus pajamas? See in the South, pajamas. Sounds a little bougie to me. But up in the North and the West Coast, we got pajamas. Now moving on to more vocab, we have nationality. And nationality is your identity with belonging to a country. Usually it has to do with citizenship or legal status, but not always. Nationality is where do you reside? Where are you a resident? And then naturalization is becoming an official citizen of a country. And that's changing your nationality officially. And here we see just some of the benefits of having U.S. citizenship. You get to vote. You get to bring family members to the U.S. If you're a U.S. citizen, any foreign family members you have higher priority. If you leave the country and your kids are born outside of America, they can still be a citizen. You can get a U.S. passport, become an elected official, all sorts of things. So think about the role of power in citizenship. Who's in this in-group? Who's in this out-group? And appreciate the benefits that many of us were born into. We didn't do a single thing other than just happen to be born into the richest country in the history of the world. And so we get these great benefits. And that's what nationality is about. That's what citizenship is all about. And before we wrap these notes up, we have a bias alert. When we're talking about nationality, and we're talking about someone's documented status or their legal status, you can often tell how they feel about immigration as a whole by what terms they use. If they call someone an illegal alien, they probably want less immigrants in this country. Think about kind of how dehumanizing that is, calling a person illegal. And not even calling them a person, but calling them an alien. Someone who's foreign, someone who doesn't really belong here. Versus what someone would say if they're more pro-immigration. Talk about an undocumented person. Not talking about them breaking any laws, but saying, no, we just don't have paperwork for them. And giving them their full humanity, calling them a person. Sometimes you'll hear undocumented immigrant or undocumented migrant. But just from the terms they use, you can probably tell their bias. at least if they're educated. So we had quick notes today. Make sure you document your knowledge by submitting a picture of your notes, writing a summary reflection, or recording a 45+ second audio or video. Submit it to Identity and Nationality vocab, and then I'll see you back in class.